Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because, I've done it, several of my colleagues have done it here. You don't get that right, and you're exhausted by day 10. And it affects the entire class. As the students might be ramping up to do a project, you're sort of going down because of all the work that you've put in. And so the rhythm of the block is I think, both student and professor, in class, out of class. How long are the assignments meant to take? How stressful are the assignments based on our expectations? And then having reasonable expectations for ourselves as the professors to say, yes, I can spend an afternoon marking this, or I'm going to need 3 afternoons, however long you want to put in there, and make sure that you schedule that time in and set the expectations accordingly. I think it's important early on to get something simple, get feedback back to the students quickly so that they, again, can see how you do things and what's expected of them, and then let them know when the next paper will be back or the next assignment will be graded. Because they'll, of course, like we all do, want something back right away. And I think just being honest is fine, but having reasonable expectations for ourselves is important.
Le système de bloc est tellement difficile spécialement pour moi parce que je viens d'arriver ici à Quest. Il fallait que je fasse toute la préparation pour mes classes, et aussi rencontrer les étudiants et corriger le papier autant que possible. Mais pour moi, j'ai besoin de faire la gestion de mon temps, et la meilleure façon pour moi est de donner une assignment très très difficile le deadline est vendredi matin, et je peux évaluer tous les papiers à samedi. Et dans le système de bloc, il faut que je prenne un autre jour dans le week-end de faire de corriger les examens, par exemple. Mais intentionnellement, le grand projet et le deadline est le vendredi dans la 3e semaine. Donc, dans la 4e semaine, jour 16, 17, 18, le projet final est très, très difficile pour les étudiants. C'est très difficile de faire, mais c'est très, très facile de corriger. Et parce que le final projet est dans le groupe de 3 ou 4, pour chaque classe que j'ai enseignée ici à Quest, je peux donner, soumettre tous mes marks dans le dernier jour de la classe. Pas après 1 semaine ou 2 semaines ou 3 mois, mais la classe a fini à 12h midi, et par peut-être 4 heures, ce jour, j'ai tout le grading pour tous mes étudiants ce jour-là. Donc oui, c'est possible. Ce n'est pas facile, mais absolument c'est possible. Et c'est juste une question de gestion, de faire la bonne gestion de temps. Et c'était ça que j'ai appris spécialement quand je viens ici à
Quest. Is a way stronger demand on one's time than I find in the semester system. And so when I'm teaching on the block, I really am living and breathing the course. It's not just those 3 hours a day that I'm spending with students, but it's also any additional questions, it's also any planning I have to do, any marking, and I find that in the shower I'm thinking about the class, and brushing my teeth I'm thinking about the class, etc. I have found that it's important for me to set boundaries around, I have very specific times I meet with students and office hours, and then I make sure to get in some time every day that's completely detached from the class. And for me that usually looks like going to yoga or going on a hike, something extracurricular. But the block is definitely all-consuming. The more prepared I am ahead of time, this is like a law. The more prepared I am ahead of time, the easier the block is every time. The blocks that I've gone into and haven't been as prepared, they've been harder because I've just felt behind and on my heels. But when I feel prepared, and again, the first time through a course can feel a little bit unprepared, but at least by the second time through a course, when I feel a bit prepared, I feel a bit more like I have more time for things. And the other thing I've found that it's also that when I'm teaching on the block, I use that as an excuse to say no to other things that I can do later. So my research output goes down a little bit during the block system. I still do weekly calls with research colleagues, but for example, I won't take on any new work involving committee work or anything that I need to spend time on writing a paper until after a block. And I just do that, and I say I'm teaching on the block right now, and so I'll get back to you in the next month. Yeah.
I have made block breaks sacred. And that means that I'll work till 3 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday night. I might work Thursday morning, but I take Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, which means I need to have my classes prepped before I go into a block break. It means that I need to be well organized. It means that I need to really be thinking ahead. But it also means that I'm away for those 3 or 4 days, and I'm recharging my own batteries. And I actually send my mentees emails that say, go do something you love, go recharge your batteries, block breaks are sacred. And I picked that up from one of our faculty members from Colorado College, who said that block breaks are just naturally sacred there. So that's really one of my big pieces of advice. So my content tends to be less writing, way more thinking. It tends to be more project oriented, and it tends to be plotted out through the course in order that my grading is done and my grades are done by the Wednesday. I am absolutely the wrong faculty member to ask that question. This year, I taught 5 courses. 5 courses? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 courses. I supervised 6 graduating students. I have 25 mentees coming up the pipeline the next 2 years. I was chair of the Research Ethics Board, chair of the Faculty Performance and Review Committee, and I did a block on institutional assessment. I love what I do. I love every second of it. I teach in July because I get twitchy if I don't get in front of a classroom, and I get really nasty. I like to be juggling 40,000 balls in the air at all times, and I like the challenge of keeping them up. So that said, I also get 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. I walk my dogs every day. I go for a run a couple times a week. My syllabus is planned so that I can take some time within the block to make time for me. It's also planned so that I'm not overwhelmed. And for myself, as long as I'm not feeling overwhelmed, I can do ridiculous amounts of things. It's the feeling like I'm running behind that seems to increase stress.